So have y'all ever heard the old expression, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen? Well, Donald Trump is currently melting in the kitchen right now because Kamala Harris is so under his skin with her surge in popularity that he just can't stand himself. It reminds me of back when I was growing up over in southeast Kentucky. I used to go up around a lot of old hunters, and there was this guy in our town that had a sticker on his dog box. A lot of guys had this sticker, and it would say, if you can't run with the big dog, stay on the porch. I really think at this point in the game, Donald Trump just needs to stay on the porch because he's completely out of his element and he's just melting down. And people tells me every day, they'll say, dude, Trump lives rent-free inside your head. Right now, it is hilarious to sit back and watch Trump with Kamala just rent-free in his head. He doesn't know what to make of it. So here he is starting off talking about how she's nothing but a critic. She's just a complainer. Take a look.
She done it. You know, I keep saying, she's one of these complainers, you know, like a critic. I remember growing up, I'd see plays on Broadway and I'd go to different things, and you'd always have critics, they criticize, but I'd see, and they were critical, but they never did it themselves, you know. She's a critic, that's all she is. She never did anything. Nothing that she ever did worked.
That's coming from the biggest critic of America that ever lived. And for those of you that are doubting what I'm saying, here's the receipt.
We have a lot of important subjects because our country has become a third world nation. We literally are a third world nation. We're a banana republic in so many ways, and we're not going to let that happen.
Yeah, so Kamala does nothing but complain and whine, and yet every time Donald Trump opens his mouth, he says we are a third world country. We are a nation in decline, but uses the phrase third world country. Folks, really stop and think about this for a minute. I don't care how much someone actually supports Donald Trump and loves his act. How could anyone be dumb enough to believe that? There are places in this world that would give anything to have a shot at the American dream. There are still people coming here on a daily basis that just wants to make a better way for themselves because where they come from is hell on earth. And it's amazing to me that people would buy into that. You're talking about people who are sitting in air-conditioned rooms, looking at a cell phone, watching the world go by, and you're going to sit and tell me you're in a third world country. There are people that would give anything to be sitting on your couch right now complaining at the screen when Kamala Harris is talking. It's so ridiculous that he says something like that and always runs us down, but it's even crazier that people who are living a pretty good life, yeah, the grocery bill's high, yeah, we're all having a hard time at the moment, but the idea that you would use the phrase third world country and actually buy into it and believe it is just truly baffling to me. But of course, Trump is going to have to find something about Kamala. He's talked about her race. He's going to insult her as a woman. He's going to do all that. But he had to get this weird obsession with her laugh. Her laugh really gets under his skin. Take a look.
4 years, Kamala has crackled as the American economy has burned. What happened to her laugh? I haven't heard that laugh in about a week. That's why they keep her off the stage. That's why she's disappeared. That's the laugh of a crazy person, I will tell you. If you haven't known it, it's a crazy. She's crazy. They told her, don't laugh, don't laugh. No, it's her. No, her laugh is career threatening. They said, don't laugh. She hasn't laughed. She doesn't laugh anymore. It's smart, but someday it's going to come out. That's the laugh of a person with some big problems. She says her plan is going to be...
I'm sorry, that's just weird that he's so obsessed over her laugh. And what's even more weird is there's people out there who will hear the phrase cackling hyena and then they will just all repeat it. They'll just all go to bat and say that she's a cackling hyena. It's so ridiculous to me. Again, it's ridiculous that he says it, but it's even more ridiculous at this point in the game that he's got people still latched onto him, still holding on and still saying those things. And when I see someone mocking her laugh, I don't have respect for that person. I just can't. I can't look at that person and go, you know what, you might have a valid point. When I see them latch on to his cliches and his catchphrases and then repeat them like they're gospel, everything else they say just kind of goes down the drain to me. I really have a hard time following them after I hear them just latch on to his latest catchphrase. And something else he can't stand, because this is all a popularity contest to Donald Trump. He's very upset at the polls. Now, if the polls are favorable for him, they're true. If they're not, of course, they're fake news. Take a look.
I have some very good polls coming out today, I just heard. Despite all of the fake publicity about this radical left person from San Francisco. How's San Francisco doing? Not like North Carolina. No, we have some very good polls coming out, so that's good. You know, considering the fact that what they do, what the fake news is able to do, and yet we're leading, and let them have their convention, and who knows how that's going to turn out. Joe Biden is a very angry man, you know that, right?
Well, let me start off by saying this is one hillbilly who absolutely had the time of his life in San Francisco. I loved it out there. I'm going back soon. I don't understand hillbillies and their hatred for California other than Donald Trump told them to hate it. Donald Trump told them not to like it. Talking heads told them not to like it. And talking heads also taught them that if a poll comes out and Trump is losing, it's a fake poll. If he's winning, it's a real poll. If he loses the election, it was a rigged election. But if he wins, that's just their world. That is the world that they live in. And they honestly think that guy is a straight shooter. And check out what he has to say next. It's pretty funny.
You will always have a president who tells it like it is. You will always have somebody where I let you know where I stand, and you can vote for me or not, but you need that, and you need consistency, and you need brilliance. You need brilliance. She is not a brilliant person. She is not a smart person. She is not very smart.
Early on, when Donald Trump first came into the political arena, I heard people saying, we like him because he speaks his mind. And I immediately said, no, that's not why you like this guy. You don't like him because he speaks his mind or tells it like it is. You like him because he speaks what's on your mind and he says the things that you don't have the balls to say out loud. That's the real reason, because Bernie Sanders speaks his mind all the time. Kamala Harris speaks her mind. I speak my mind every day, and I've got so much hate mail that I can't even weed through it. So it's not about liking somebody because they speak their mind. You only like that person if they're saying what you're agreeing with. That's just the truth. But this idea that, he's the straight shooter and he tells it like it is. No, this guy, every time he gets fact-checked to his face, he has to duck and run. But this guy just breaks the meter every time he opens his mouth for the most lies told in an hour. I've never seen anything like it. He says it with no fear whatsoever because he knows if they fact check him, all he has to say is that the fact checkers are fake news or deep state affiliated, and the followers just go right along and repeat stuff like cackling hyena. It's so ridiculous. What's so ridiculous is the standard that they hold Kamala Harris to. They want to hear every single detail of everything she plans to do. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has never brought any receipts to the table. Just nothing but doom and gloom and fear and propaganda. And I love this clip on Fox News because, for once, Jessica points it out. Well, I like Jessica a lot, but here she is, right on the money with this one.
Trending in her direction, which I believe that it is, maybe it ends up better. But Donald Trump has been, for instance, saying that he's going to introduce a big, beautiful health care plan. And there are no specifics on it. And Kamala is being held to a standard where she has to tell you the nuts and bolts of things, where people are saying, you tell us exactly that. She's supposed to talk about her economic plan on Friday. The press is already saying it'll be, quote, light on detail. They don't know. Could it be as light as big and beautiful? I doubt it.
Are you actually arguing that Donald Trump is held to a lower standard than Kamala Harris?
Yeah, actually I am. If you could say, I'm going to get rid of Obamacare and I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do, then that is the lowest standard of all time.
Republicans aren't really...
Anything Donald Trump plans to do, he just says, trust me, you're going to love it, and his crowd says, okay. Donald Trump says he can fix all their problems on day one. If they'll just let him be a dictator for a day, he can fix their problems, and they're dumb enough to believe it. They really believe that he can fix their problems in 24 hours, that he will just be a dictator for one day, and he'll hand it back over to them, and they'll have a democracy again. They're really that naive. And these are the same people that used to sit and tell me that health care would lead to socialism, which would lead us into communism. We'd have a dictator. I can't count the times that someone has said to me, oh, Brando, now listen, I know you mean well, but the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Okay, that's just an old cliche that is ridiculous when you really examine it. Because if someone had the best of intentions and meant well in their heart, just because it crashed and burned doesn't mean it's their fault. You got to stop and ask yourself, wait a minute, was I on the right side of history? Because if I was, yeah, things might have crashed and burned and went to hell, but I had the best of intentions. I meant well. And we're talking about things like health care. We're talking about things like children getting an education. We're talking about things like children being taught real history. We're talking about things like keeping our parents and our grandparents' Social Security and Medicaid in place so they can live comfortably for the remainder of their life. Those are the issues we're talking about. And yeah, we have good intentions with those. And if helping our neighbors, if helping our brothers and sisters and our moms and dads, if that's the road to hell, then I'll gladly go. I'll rock all the way to hell if that's what that is. Because you're going to sit and tell me that my road is paved, my road with good intentions is going to hell. Meanwhile, you've got this guy over here running us down, calling us a third world country, and you think that's the road to heaven? Is that the highway to heaven right there? Is that what you're on? Because I've done so many videos talking about this, and I'm going to keep doing it. Donald Trump in no way represents the teachings of Jesus Christ at all. And the ministers that used to hold me to account for every little single word and just come down on me and guilt trip me with hellfire and brimstone now just sits back and lets that guy talk. So I don't take them seriously anymore either. I would never grace their church house door because I'm not going to be guilty by association. But if you're going to tell me that helping our neighbor and having a positive outlook on this country is the road to hell, then I'd really hate to see what your all's devil looks like.